right, positive energy all the time. Good to see you all tonight. Rep your city, rep your city. Everybody on Kick, I'm representing Chicago, Illinois. Everybody on Twitch, I'm representing Chicago. Everybody on YouTube, I'm representing Chi-Town. Everybody on Facebook, I'm representing Chirac, the rack, the rack, the rack, the rack. We got Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the building. Rep your city, rep your city. What else we got here? We got Clemson in the building. Let's get it going. I just finished watching Seti Nash talking about this concert being canceled. I want to speak on that. Shout out to Seti. I always watch Seti Nash. Let me give my opinion on this situation. I didn't agree with some of the stuff Seti was saying. We're going to talk about that. But the NBA YoungBoy show was canceled in Chicago. That is a good thing. I personally did not want him to come here. I don't like him. We're going to get into that. We're going to break it down. I want to talk about some of the things that Seti was saying, some of the mistakes he made in this conversation. We have San Jose, California in the building. And the difference between Chicago and Los Angeles, where he's at. Shout out to Steady, representing Los Angeles, my second home. I love LA. We're going to talk about this situation. It was very smart to cancel that show. Will this stay up? It might get edited, but it'll stay up. I'm going to keep it decent. I'm gonna keep it smooth. I'm not gonna say nothing too much out of line. I'm just gonna touch on the basics. I'm not emotional over it or nothing like that. But I speak for a lot of Chicagoans. We don't want NBA YoungBoy coming to this city. He's not welcome. This don't mean we got nothing against New Orleans. We love New Orleans, but we don't like NBA YoungBoy at all. And I speak for the entire Chicago. Even the people that's ops of King Von, they know better. They know. We're going to talk about that too. Shout out to King Yellow. I'm going to use King Yellow. Yellow, sorry. Hey, King Yellow, I got to use you. You one of the big guys on social media, so I'm going to use you for example, but no offense, okay? You know, I got love for you, Yellow, because I wouldn't mention you. I watch you all the time. You're one of my favorites on YouTube. But I gotta use you for the example because you kind of in this, right? Because you know where Vaughn stay and you know where you stay. And of course, I'm gonna say under these circumstances, you can't do that. You know, you gotta ride in the Chicago car. This is federal. What you think, Yellow? Am I on to something? This is federal. These is two different states. This is not state. In the state, you can do that, but in federal, and the fact this is somebody from New Orleans, that would be federal. And you know you got to ride in the Chicago car, yellow. You know all of y'all on yellow situation. Y'all know y'all got to ride with the Chicago car. I hope y'all do understand that this would be considered federal. And you know it's Chicago first, then all that other stuff. Yeah, it'd be considered federal because the only time you that is in state. If it's within the state, basically within the state. So if you go to the state prison, then you go by that, whatever you are. But when you go to federal, you ride with your city. And so any beef that happens outside of Chicago would be considered federal, which means everybody in Chicago have to ride in the Chicago car. You cannot go against another person from Chicago if there's a beef with another somebody from another state. Now, people would say, well, what if y'all in the same street organization? Then you all would have to talk to squash that if it's a problem in your city. So if you're in the same organization in New Orleans as some people in Chicago, y'all was supposed to squash that. Y'all was supposed to make sure that didn't diss your city where you born at. Because, see, you born in Chicago, then you become whatever you become. It's Chicago first. Then it's all that other stuff. We don't want to make no mistake about that. I know some of y'all are youngins, but it's still law and order around here. And just because a lot of the OGs don't want to catch Ricos trying to tell y'all what's right and wrong, don't mean there's not a right and a wrong. And you young dudes, y'all got to get in where y'all fit in. Y'all got to stop making up new rules. It's the same rules. It's just different fools. That's all. You don't never go against your city. But whatever. You don't go against your city. Because whatever you are, you that in your city. Your city is where your little organization is based in your city. That's going to always come first. Just like how you rep your block. Well, guess what? Your block is in what city? So how y'all repping y'all block, but ain't repping the city that the block is in? I don't know. I'm confused. We're going to talk about it. Y'all come on in. Now, I am not promoting no violence. I want to get that straight. This live is not to promote violence, not to incite violence. This live is just about the show being canceled and why the show was canceled and what certain people saying and why what they saying is not correct. But this is not promoting violence because violence has already been avoided by canceling that show. It would have been totally irresponsible to bring NBA YoungBoy to Chicago. That would have been totally irresponsible. He is not welcome in the city of Chicago. Period. He's not welcome here. And this has nothing to do with gangs or nothing. It's a whole bunch of people in Chicago that ain't none of that. We don't like him. I'm 67 years old and I don't like him. Period. I don't like him. Period. King Von was a hero here. Ever since King Von went to O Block with all that money and gave back to the hood, he's a Chicago legend because he was showing these rappers how to come back and give to the community. And when that man came in O Block with all that money and gave them brothers that's struggling in O Block all that money, that was one of the greatest things in rap history. Seriously. So he's a legend. Straight like that. Because he came and gave back and he was influencing others to come and give back. I remember I wasn't even listening to Vaughn like that. And I seen that video. And man, when I seen that video, man, I watched that video at least 10 times. I couldn't believe I seen nothing like that. And I lived in O Block for a while. My youngest daughter born there, went to Dulles. I raised children there. And I thought that was one of the most honorable and greatest things I had ever seen in rap history. That needs to go down in the top 10 best hip hop moments in rap history. That man went back to where he was from and gave his friends all that money. It was something to see. I kid you not. If you think I'm lying, go watch the Back to the Block vlog and see it for yourself. It was incredible. And after that, you couldn't tell me nothing bad about dude. I wasn't trying to hear it. And I remember the night that happened to him. You know what I mean? I remember. Like it was yesterday. Some of the young rappers and some of the people I know, they locked down the jails and the prisons because people were so, upset over that. They locked everybody down. And the whole city was pissed. Man, people was really, you know what I'm saying? We had already had a good relationship with Atlanta, and that kind of kept, things kind of cool. So we wasn't able to really just wild out on Atlanta. But the thought was there. That for sure. That's for sure. So that was a bad night. People was mad because it wasn't nothing but a fight, and they felt like that was some punk stuff to take a fight and go turn it into something else. Nobody didn't respect that. One of the things that was said is that they was always saying that the Chicago youngins always wanted to, use weapons. And we got somebody that want to box it out, and then you use weapons instead of fighting. And we keep saying, put the weapons down and just fight and live another day. But here you gonna go do this. Ain't nobody really respect that. but it was no reason for NBA YoungBoy to jump in it. He wasn't even there. And I know that some of his guys and all that, that was just some coward stuff for him to just troll that situation. So I don't really like dude because he should just mind his business. I know he's gonna ride with his boy, but come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You getting beats from Chief Keef. You know what I'm saying? And you were supposed to, try to mediate that instead of fan the flames. He went and just tried to fan the flames and tried to clout chase off of the situation. You know what I'm saying? I remember the night. People was filling up their cars with gas for to go down there. I said, no, don't go down there, man. It was, man, it was bad in Chicago. If you went in Chicago, it was bad. Man, it was, man, the city was, man, when the night Bond got on the line, man, you could cut the darkness with a knife. Boy, it was gloomy, boy. All because we looked at his hero. This is the video where he went there and gave them all that money. Didn't leave them back behind. Didn't leave them poor like that. You know what I mean, man? Heck yeah, it was that serious. Yes. Yeah. Like I said, dude was a hero when he on this video, when he went back to O Block and he took all that money and he went into that poor area and he gave all the dudes he grew up with all that money. Hey man, that touched everybody's heart right there. Everybody say, Von, the real one. Like I said, I was on Instagram at the time. And I seen it and I watched it about 20 times because I couldn't believe what I was looking at. Because, I raised my children over there. I couldn't believe it. I had never seen no rapper do nothing like that. Yeah, man, they was finna come down. Man, let me tell you something, man. And we like, no, we cool with LA. I mean, we cool with Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Don't blame Atlanta. Them dudes ain't even from, them dudes, you know what I'm saying? It's from the backwoods and stuff. Don't do that. We've been cool with Atlanta since the Brat went down now. We cool with Jermaine Dupri. It's like, no. But tensions was high. Like I said, they had the jails and the prisons was going crazy. Every street organization was pissed. Even his ops. It was later when they started, trying to act like it was cool, which it wasn't. But when that happened, we took it like the city took a loss. You know what I'm saying? That's how we took it, like the city took a L. And so I speak for a lot of people in Chicago. For him to come here to us would have been total disrespect. It would have been like they trying to punk the city. Now I've seen Seti Nash talking. And Seti Nash need to just stick with LA politics. Because I ain't like what he was saying. And that's my man. I mess with Seti. But I ain't like what he was saying. Because he started talking about one organization. You know what I'm saying? But what he don't understand is, you know what I'm saying? He said, ain't just one organization run the city. Right? But what he don't understand is that Vaughn was here and it was there. And that's just two parts. So if you got Vaughn and his side, and then you got his main ops, That's Vaughn's side, and that's their op. But them ops on Vaughn, it's also the Finball. It's a whole bunch of others. And that group is outnumbered. And so them ones that go against Vaughn, they will have to get in line if Chicago said roll with Chicago. They wouldn't be able to go against all the other brothers because them ain't the only two. So I was like, Seti, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to say no names of these street organizations, but you got the 5 and you got the 6. And Vaughn and his opposition, that's the 6. But that's just 2, and one of them ready to ride for Chicago. But then you got the Finball ready to ride. So that other 6 would have had to sit down. They would have had to ride with the city. That's why I mentioned King Yellow, because I want him to speak on this, to tell me if I'm right or wrong. They would have had to ride if the city wanted to ride. Period. They would have had to ride. They would have not been able to take their beef on something that's happening that's federal. This ain't that. This is one state against another state. That's how that would have played out. And he know that's federal. And he know he would have had to ride in the Chicago car. Or there would have been consequences for that. He would have not been able to take a Chicago beef and mix that up when we lost one of our great Chicago people. Just like Duck. Duck is one of our greats. We don't care. We don't care what side, whatever. Something happened to Duck in another city, another state, it's up. Whether you in Duck's group or not, nah, that's the homeboy. Nah, that's not happening. Now, whatever happened within Chicago politics, cool. But once it's outside Chicago, now everybody got to ride in a Chicago car. If I'm in one gang and you're in another gang, and I'm from Chicago and you're from Chicago, and I'm in some other city, and you know I'm from Chicago, and some dudes from another city try to get at me and you don't help me, you bogus. You bogus. You still the homeboy. You bogus. You ain't supposed to be like, well, I'm beefing with you back at home, so I ain't going to help you against these strangers. What? No, we ain't jocking that. We don't jock that. Don't nobody jock that when they go to the feds. That's not true in the feds. You got to ride in a Chicago car. Period. Enemies have to ride in the feds. Dudes you've been beefing with from Chicago, if you go to the feds, that beef is over. And what's crazy is even in Chicago, where you got 2 on the 6 beefing, it used to be in the county jail. Now y'all the 6. Now, I don't know what these shorties doing because they out of line. They out of order. Because when you sit at the table, it's the Finball at one table and it's the 6 at the other table. And all them dudes on the 6, they got to ride together. They used to have to ride together in the county. So these shorties, they just messing everything up anyway. And Yellow's supposed to be standing on what his daddy taught him, not no new stuff. Because his daddy, when he go in there, then the 6 ride with the 6. And the 5 ride with the 5. And when you go to federal, it's the Chicago car. Ain't no 5, no 6 when you go to the feds. That's what he's supposed to be standing on. What his father, he's supposed, you know what I'm saying? What his father in them generation. I ain't going to say his father, because I don't know what his father is. I don't know nothing. But I know that generation. That's what he's supposed to be standing on. All these making up new rules, I really ain't with that. And so I wanted to talk about this because I think that's the best thing the police could have do. Don't let that show come here. Don't bring him here. He hated here. Chicago hates NBA YoungBoy. Let me be the one to say it. And them few people that don't is busters. They ain't representing. We don't like NBA YoungBoy. And we don't want him coming on no stage here trying to act like he punking the city. Because that's all he was going to do. We try to troll the city like y'all came to y'all city. He going to bring that little boy out there with him, stunting. So I think that the city was smart. Like we trying to stop the violence. NBA YoungBoy wasn't going to do nothing but flame violence coming here with his goofy ass. Boy, go home. Go back where you from. Don't come down here. Go back in the backwoods down there where you from. Go down there where you at, bro, and do all that down there. You know, don't come up here with that disrespecting up here after all that happened and you trolling and your punk ass wasn't there. Like NBA YoungBoy, you wasn't even there when it all went down. Go sit down somewhere. You know, you jumping into something you wasn't there, misleading your soldiers instead of like paving that over, making that be. You know, he should have paved that over. He fanned it for clout. Cause Vaughn is hot and he a rapper. So now he wanted, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man. You know what I mean? Man, don't bring that boy here. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't gonna work out. That wasn't going. You can't bring that boy to the United Center. This Chicago. I don't know about no other city. I don't know what city Nas talking about. I don't know what you could do in L.A. You know, you could probably lose a big star in L.A. and bring him there. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't really was feeling what Seti was saying. You know what I mean? Because if that was some out of state people that did that to somebody in LA will feel the same way. And he's speaking on something that he can't feel our pain. You know what I'm saying? Said he need to be quiet. Don't be speaking on our pain, what we dealing with. Worry about what you dealing with. This Chicago, man. Vaughn was our hero. Vaughn not Seti Nash. That's not your hero, man. Stay in your lane, boy. You from LA. You really ain't even from LA, but you from California. Stay on California politics. You could have talked about the story, but don't be talking about Chicago politics, bro. Seti. Because you don't know what you're talking about. Because it ain't just that. It's Chicago don't like dude. Not the gangs, the city. People that ain't in gangs, people's in school, people got jobs. We don't like him, period. We don't like NBA YoungBoy. We don't like him. And we don't want him coming here. We don't want no violence, but we don't want him here. Let him go somewhere else and rap. Don't come here. Don't be a part of people that took down one of our heroes and think we gonna show you any love. We're not showing you no love and no respect. Period. And I'm 67. I'm standing on that. That's coming from me. That ain't coming from the young ones. That's coming from the top. You understand? This our man's right here. He represent our city. He brought hope to the city. He brought hope to the young people. All he wanted to do was get out and fight over a girl. That's it. It was some real stand-up soldier stuff. No gunplay or nothing. Because they was like, they always say Chicago gunplay, so he was going to see what his hands do. Now your man's getting beat up. Now here y'all going to go with the gunplay. Some punk. That was for punk. That was a whole punk move anyway. That was a whole punk move. Somebody want to fight, and here you go, you're going to go shoot. But then everybody want to talk about put down the guns, da da da. But when it happened to Vaughn, now you ain't saying nothing. Nobody said, man, he didn't have no weapon. Why y'all shoot him? The police shooting, everybody shooting, and he don't even got no weapon. He ain't even had no weapon. That was his friend he was fighting. They was friends. That was just a friendly They was friends. They was friends. And that was a fight over a woman. They was not enemies. There was no reason to shoot him. They bogus for that, and they can't be coming to this city. Don't be coming to this city. It was gonna be bad if they came here. And like I say, I'm not promoting no violence or nothing. I'm just telling you what I know. I'm telling you what people was telling me, what the shorties and the youngers was telling me. It was gonna be a madhouse. One thing Seti Nash was right about. They ain't even have enough room at the Cook County Jail for how many people they would have had to arrest that night if that man would have came here. The United Center, it would have been bad for the United Center. They made a great business move. You don't want to have no show that's definitely going to have violence. It was no ifs, ands, or buts. There was going to be violence at that show, period. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's going to be violence in there, violence outside, and violence all around that whole west side. It was going to be dangerous. And from the time NBA YoungBoy and them would have crossed into this city, their lives would have been in danger. People would have been just driving around looking for them. People would have been trying to find out what hotel they at. They would have been looking for them. This is not LA. This is not New Orleans, Miami. This is the rack. Period. And if you don't live here, don't be speaking on here. This is not that. Annie would have came here in the fall when it get dark early. Goonie Goon season. September, evening in Chicago? No, no, no. Dark early, gloomy, dangerous. With a bunch of youngins that feel like they got something to prove. They had to cancel that show. I'm so glad they canceled that show. Would have messed it up for everybody. Would have messed it up for the promoters. Would have messed it up for the United Center. It would have just been a mess. Officers would have had to been out there trying to control all them shorties. It ain't no way them boys would have got on that stage. What's his name? Lil Tim? Ain't no way he would have got on that stage and everything would have been all right. Soon as he would have got on that stage, that show would have been over. I said he don't know what he talking about. Soon as that little Tim would have got on that stage in Chicago, I don't know about LA, that show would have been over. That's a fact. And that never is going to be over with until it's over with. I'm just telling you. It's up till it's stuck. And so I am really happy they avoided. They wouldn't have got blasted off the stage. And that's another thing. Because they would have had to have so much security. They were saying you can't bring no bags, you can't bring nothing. That's how dangerous it was. They said you couldn't even bring a little bag. You could not bring nothing to the show. It was too much. You could not bring a purse. You couldn't bring a purse. None of the women could bring a purse inside. It was, come on. How you gonna have a show like that with that type of security? They was gonna have all the police overtime. You know how many police they would have had to have there? This is a city where I don't know what city talking about, but I know for a fact they would feel like he trying to come and punk the city. Whether Seti want to agree with it or not, that's how it is here. The city would have considered he trying to come and stunt and punk the city. And everybody would have been hell-bent on making sure that show is a disaster. It ain't no way that we would have let him come here and try to punk this city. And if he would have came here and got away with it, it would have been smoke in New Orleans. People would have came to New Orleans. Facts. Are we punking cities? Yup. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what these shorties is telling me. It would have increased the intensity so high. Wouldn't have nobody from New Orleans would have been able to come here. Not Master P, not the hot boy. That's how that would have been. It would have took it the wrong direction. It would have definitely been a beef between Chicago and New Orleans, for sure. See, it ain't no beef between Chicago and New Orleans. We just don't like them. But that show would have made serious beef. Wouldn't have nobody from New Orleans would have been able to come here. I know my city. I know, I'm telling you. And these just the regular people too. Because like the regular people love Vine. You gotta understand, when Vine was a little kid running around O Block, so the older people know him. The adults know him. We know these kids. We watched them grow up. These was the little kids running around when I was taking my daughters to school. My kids went to school with Vine. My stepdaughters, they know him. He was younger than them. These are people we know. My daughter went to school with Chief Keef's sister, little sister, and he used to come up there and pick up. These ain't strangers. These are Chicago citizens. And Vaughn was like the biggest hero. He was bigger than Twister, Common, and all of them. Just that fast. Just because he went to O Block and gave them that money. We thought that was the greatest thing we ever seen, because they always talk about they want to come back and give to the community. And when he came back, man, that was like the greatest thing I ever seen in rap. I ain't going to tell you no lie. When I seen Vaughn come with all that money to O Block, I watched that video all day. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I said, man, everybody should do that. That man came back and gave all the money. And you should have seen the brothers when he was handing them that money, man. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. Man, when he was handing them brothers that money, you should have seen their faces, man. And the vibe, like hope. You know what I'm saying? Man, that night when he got hurt, man, it was so dark in the city, y'all. Man, it was bad. It was bad, y'all. It was really bad. Man, it was bad. I'm telling you the facts. It was really bad when he got hurt down there. It was, man, the radio stations, they was tripping. The phone lines was tripping. The county was tripping. Stateville, Pontiac, all of the prisons was tripping. Heavy. They had to lock everybody down. Who was locked up? Let me see what year that was. That was 2020. Wait a minute. That was 2020. I'm trying to think who was locked up. One of the guys was locked up. I can't think of who it was. One of my associates was locked up. And he's like, man, Pharaoh, they was going crazy. It was like that. He said they had to lock us down, man. He said dudes was rapping Vaughn stuff all day. And he was like, what was crazy is like Ops was mad. That's what I remember. He was like, man, Ops was mad. You know what I'm saying? The ops was mad. They was pissed. And so they really made a good decision to not bring that show here, man. You know what I'm saying? We don't need no violence and stuff, man. We don't need all that. That ain't gonna do nothing but make anxiety and violence, man. Now I know said he's saying what he's saying, but no matter what you say, Chicago gonna take it like they trying to play us. He can say whatever he want to say. He in LA. So if somebody can do that to a big LA star from another state, if that would have been Nipsey, and if it wouldn't have been nobody from LA, and if it would have been somebody from another state, then said he could talk. And I guarantee you they would have felt the same way. If a rapper from another state was behind Nipsey getting hurt, and then his crew came to LA, said he tried to tell me that'd be cool, that wouldn't be horrible. You know, I ain't like the way he was speaking on that. It ain't like, it ain't just one gang don't run nothing. Bro, it ain't just one gang. This ain't LA. Y'all ain't got nothing but two sides. Crips and Bloods. Bro, we got, and this Chicago. This the only city ain't got no Crips and ain't got no Bloods. This is the number one city in America when it come to that type of stuff. Everywhere else, Crips and Bloods was able to go get a stronghold. Not here. Okay? So said he got to realize the city he talking about. We don't got no Crips and Bloods. Y'all ain't that here. Y'all ain't that there. Y'all that in other cities. Y'all go in other cities infiltrate. Not here. Facts. This ain't them other cities. I got love for SETI. That's why I mentioned him. This is not anti-SETI. This is just correcting what he said. I don't got no beef with SETI. I like SETI. I'm just correct. I wouldn't have said his name. I'm plugging him. I watch him all the time. I'm not going to stop watching him. I'm not mad at him or none of that. I'm just straightening them out. Certain things he said. Because he was like, it ain't just one gang run the city. It ain't no gang run the city when the OGs say make later law down for something that's outside the city. When it comes to something happen outside the city and the law get laid down, the law get laid down. It ain't no gang was gonna go against that. If any gang in this city would have went against people that were standing up for Vaughn, their ass would have been out of here. They would have been immediately everybody's ops. So I know some G's that they would have been told to stand down. Listen, they would have from the top. The top would have been contacted a day or two before the show, and them G's would have been told to stand down. That's a fact. Don't you stick your nose in this situation and be on Vaughn and them side. That's a fact. That's an absolute fact. That would have been devastating for that would have been devastating for them. I'm telling you, their reputation would have been dirt. Man, their reputation would have been dirt if they didn't ride with Chicago. And they just rode because Vaughn was their op. And so they just rode with some outsiders. Because Vaughn's hell no. Hell no. You can't do that. You got to ride with the Chicago car. And they know that. This is not no state matter. This is not no city matter. This is a national matter. And when it's a national matter, you ain't no G, you ain't no B, you ain't no B, other B, you ain't no F, you ain't no V, you ain't none of that. You Chicago now, period. You can't still be that stuff when it's a beef out of the city. Oh, no. Oh no, you can't take your gang and ride with nobody outside the city and you a Chicago gang. I don't know what nobody told nobody. I don't know. I don't know what nobody told nobody. Trump can't bring nobody to Chicago anyway. He was stunting. You can't bring no National Guard to no city. The only place he could take the National Guard was to Washington, D.C. He was just stunting on y'all. Washington, D.C. is territory, it's federal territory. That's why when you go to jail and when you go to prison in Washington, D.C., you go to the Fed joint. If you get in trouble in Illinois, you go to Illinois State Prison. Every other state, you go to Illinois State Prison. If you get in trouble in Washington, D.C., you go to federal prison. Because Washington, D.C. is not under no state. So because Washington, D.C. under no state, Trump bought the National Guards of Washington, D.C. Because Washington, D.C. is federal. Chicago is in a state. He cannot bring no National Guard to no state unless he can prove it's a state of emergency and some shootings and stuff is not a state of emergency. Trump fronting. And know that young people don't know the law, don't know nothing about government. Why you think he took them to D.C. first? Because that's the only place he can take them. He cannot bring the National Guard to no state unless the governor requests them. There is no governor. Who's the governor of Washington, D.C.? Washington, D.C. is not a state. And technically, it's a neutral city from when they had the Civil War, and you had the North and the South, and they got a neutral territory between two states where they could come and meet and feel they were safe, feel they wasn't in a Confederate state and they wasn't in a Yankee state. They was just in Washington, D.C. That was no state. It's neutral territory, Washington, D.C. That way the government, it ain't on nobody's side. And Trump brought the National Guard where he could bring them. He cannot bring no National Guard to the city of Chicago. Plus, the National Guard is no match for the city of Chicago. Anyway, but that's a whole nother story for another day. National smashing. They ain't nobody here. I don't know about Washington, D.C., but I know in Chicago, there ain't nobody unless we let them be somebody. If we don't want them here, they'll have to leave. Just like that. And it's going to take a little while for other black people to respect they black people in Chicago. I don't know what's wrong with you black people around the country where y'all got a great black city like Chicago and y'all don't respect it. I guess it's jealousy. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. I was like, they gonna get y'all in Chicago instead of y'all saying, y'all better not go play with them in Chicago. Yeah, they gonna get y'all. They gonna get y'all. Like, shut up, punk. They gonna get you in your little city. With your little punk self. How you cheering for the Babylon? What? Where you from, little boy? Boy, you know what this is? This is really Chicago. And I've been all over this country. And there ain't no city in this country like this city, especially when it comes to black Americans. We number one in this city when it comes to standing on business, and that is a fact. L.A. was there, but they let the Mexicans punk them. So I don't know what set he talking about. I don't even know how he can speak on Chicago because they let the Mexicans punk them. They got the Mexicans that calling them N-word, saying N-word and everything. Said he need to worry about L.A. He ain't got nothing to stand on. I don't know. That's between them. That's on their governor and them and what they standing on. But they ain't supposed to send no National Guard to Tennessee. No, that's illegal. The National Guard is for natural disasters like floods, hurricanes, stuff like that, or the whole something is, there's an uprising, a big uprising, and then they'll come like riots everywhere. You can't send a National Guard for no murders and no crimes and no robberies. They just show you Americans don't even know the law. 20 people getting shot in Chicago that's got 2 million people ain't nothing? Who believes 20 people shot is a lot when you got 2 million people and you got 21,000 blocks? Chicago got 21,000 blocks, street blocks. Who believes 20 people shot over a weekend is a lot with 21,000 blocks? Let's say one person a block. Subtract 21 blocks or 20 blocks from 21,000 and tell me that's an emergency. You take a city that's as big as 3 cities and then don't divide up the violence. So technically, Chicago, if it's 15 people shot, that should be divided up percentage-wise. They should be telling the percentage, and that would be 5 per city. But you can't look at 15 people shot in Chicago with 2 million people and compare that with 15 people shot in the city with 500,000 people. But this is what they're doing. They running the game. Anywhere else, you would say, well, the city big as hell. Of course they're going to have more crime. How you not going to have more crime with more people? If New York got 8 million people, how they not going to have more crime in Chicago, and Chicago got 2 million people? So New York's supposed to have the same amount of crime with 8 million people as Chicago with 2 million. They running the game on y'all. The violence in Chicago is not that bad. The place is big. Somebody getting shot way over there. Somebody getting shot way over there. It's not like right all there and they run around shooting. It's not like that. So if you live here, you don't even know nobody got shot. The place is gigantic. How you going to have a little bit of crime with 2 million people? Do that make sense? How you going to have only one person shot with 2 million people? And a lot of the shootings is domestic. A lot of the shootings is the citizen shot the criminal. They don't even tell you that. Some of the shootings is the carjacker got shot. A guy tried to carjack a dude, but it was an off-duty police officer in the car, and he shot the dude, and they just put it down as a shooting. That's what they're doing, y'all. They're not telling you the details of the shootings. A lot of the shootings in Chicago are the criminals that got shot, trying to break in somebody else or steal somebody's car, rob somebody. But they don't tell you that. They just say 10 shootings. But go ask them, give us the details on each shooting. No, it don't. You don't know what you talk about, Brandon. You don't know what you're talking about. You live where you live at, Brandon. You live in some little bitty city. You don't know nothing about a big city like this. A lot of these shootings in Chicago are the criminals getting shot. Tell me I'm wrong. If 10 people get shot on the weekend, Brandon, are any of those the criminals? Yes or no? If 10 people get shot on the weekend in Chicago, are any of those people that got shot criminals? Yes or no? Yes or no? Because they just tell you 10 people. They don't tell you the circumstances. If 10 people get shot in Chicago, Brandon, on the weekend, are any of those people got shot criminals? Yes or no? Right. Stay in your place. You don't know what you're talking about, okay? You don't know what you're talking about. He ain't going to answer. A lot of them be criminals, y'all. A lot of them be a son came up beating up his mother and the stepfather shot him and stuff like that. It be stuff like that. Brandon don't know what he's talking about. Brandon from some little place have no idea about a city like this. Brandon don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to another channel. You know what you're talking about. I'm not going to entertain you. It's a block party. Go find somewhere else. If you didn't answer my question, then you're a fraud. I gave you a legitimate question. You couldn't answer it. A lot of people, what they do, they just put it down as shootings. They don't give you the details of the shootings, right? I work Chirac homicide. I post all the shootings. So I know what I'm talking about. Okay? And I've been recording all the shootings for 12 years. So you ain't just listening to somebody who don't know what they're talking about. This is me right here. This is me. And I've been over here posting all the shootings and all the violence since 2013. And I'm telling you right now that a lot of them shootings be the criminals. Okay? But they don't tell you the details. Okay? 2 men were shot during a fight, but you don't know who shot who. They don't go into details of the shooting. You understand? They don't go into details. But a lot of these people are the criminals. That'll get shot and run somewhere else and go to the hospital and ask you where you get shot at. And he tell them a different place than where it's at. Because if he report where it happened at, they'll find out there was a burglary over there. And the person called in and said he just shot somebody trying to break in their house. So he ain't going to let them know where he got shot at. Because if he let them know where he got shot at, they'll know he the criminal. It's a fact. Because they just put down 6 shot. They don't really break down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but 2 of them dudes got shot trying to carjack an undercover cop. So why you reporting that as 6 shot when really it was only 4 citizens shot? The other 2 was the crooks. They don't distinguish. They just say 6 shot. That's a fact. And then a lot of the people get shot. They don't know why they got shot. Because if a dude try to break in my car and I shoot him and he run, he going to go home. Then he going to go to the hospital. They going to say, where you get shot at? He going to say somewhere else. So you're going to think he just got shot by some gang stuff. But really, he got shot trying to break in my house and steal my car. But he ain't going to tell you that. So it just go down there, he got shot, and he can lie. So a lot of these dudes that be getting shot, they go to the hospital and lie and say they got shot over here when they really got shot over there, but they can't say they got shot over there because then we'll find out there was attempted burglary over there and he was the burglar. These is facts. So then at the end of the year, it's like, oh, all these people shot in Chicago, but a whole bunch of them was actually the criminals. You ever notice that the shootings went up when it was concealed carry? Because when the citizens got concealed carry, they start shooting the criminals. These is our facts. Now you got a lot of racism in Chicago, so you're going to have white Americans that just want to paint Chicago as just shooting because racist. But a lot of these shootings is whites because they don't tell you the race either. So a lot of these shootings is whites where the white stepfather shot the white stepson because he came in, he was off of some substance, acting crazy, trying to beat up his stepmother or his mother. That's what really be going on. But they won't report that part. They just say a shooting. They won't report shooting for what? They don't tell you that part. I don't even post that part. I leave those parts out because I'm just keeping up with the shootings. And I'm thinking now I should change that and I should stop posting the shootings that's the criminals. Because I was just posting the shootings in general. But I didn't know the system was going to take that and exploit that. So now that I know that, I think I might have to stop and start posting it. And the ones that are the criminals getting shot, I might not post those because it's giving the wrong impression. It's giving the wrong impression because a lot of these people that's getting shot are the criminals are getting shot. You'd be ridiculous to think that people breaking in houses and breaking in cars ain't getting shot. That's just common sense. A lot of them is getting shot. People trying to carjack, people trying to snatch purses, people trying to climb in people's windows are getting shot. And then they running off. Then they going to the hospital and they ain't telling where they got shot at. Like my boy got shot on the west side. He had his girlfriend bring him all the way to the south side to go to the hospital so they couldn't tie it in to the shooting they heard about over there. So they don't know where he got shot at. This is what be going on. They'll get shot over here for something, for being a criminal. Then they'll go all the way over here and go to the hospital and make it look like they got shot. They was a victim. They'll be like, I was walking down the street on 71st and somebody shot me. But they be lying. They didn't get shot on 71st. They got shot on 55th trying to break in an old lady's house. This is what really be going on. So when they get shot trying to do a crime, they run off wounded. Some of them don't go to the hospital till the next day. Like they'll get shot tonight and they won't go to the hospital tomorrow. They'll just patch it up and they'll go tomorrow so the police can't figure out that they was the criminal. That's a fact. That's people trying to criminalize Chicago because it's black. And they don't like black, successful black Americans. Chicago is a bunch of black Americans with good jobs, bus drivers, police, and stuff like that. They don't want to report Chicago like that. They want to report Chicago like it's just violence. They don't want to report how many blacks in Chicago are architects, how many work for the U.S., for the federal government, for the state government, for the city government. They don't want to report that. How many black police officers you think is in Chicago? How many black firemen you think is in Chicago? How many black nurses and doctors you think is in Chicago? Well, they don't want to show it like that. So they trying to distort the shootings to make it look like black people just here shooting. They don't show rush hour. They don't show all the hundreds of thousands of people going to work. The hundreds of thousands of people got nice homes and stuff. They don't want to show that. They try to give you a distorted view. But white America do way more shootings and way more violence. By far. That's a fact. Way more shootings and way more crime. All the most crime is in the red states. Look it up. All the most crime is in the red states. As a matter of fact, the president is a criminal. They got a lot of nerve. He's a crook. Yeah, he's a crook. He's got 37 felonies. Biden's son, all of them would be in prison. All of them would be in prison. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that situation. I'm glad the show didn't come here. We don't want no violence here. We got enough violence going on in a big city like this. When we got people, criminals trying to break in and steal stuff, people trying to defend themselves because it's a huge city. But we don't have an abnormal amount of violence for a big city like this. For a big city like this, it's really nice. It's really nice. Those few shootings are really nice for a city this big. This city is huge. And if you're on the south side and something happened on the north side, that's like a whole nother city away from you. Seriously. In most places, if you left the south side and drove to the north side, you would already be out the city and you would be somewhere in the state. So people don't know how big Chicago is. Chicago got 21,000 city blocks, 77 big communities, 77. Just let that sink in. So don't let nobody fool you. But it was a beautiful thing they didn't bring that show here because the shorties would have been out there hyped up. It had just been too much emotions. And you know, these brothers is disrespectful. So they would have wanted to come here and gloat over the fact that Vaughn got unalived. And see, that would have been bad. They wasn't gonna come here. NBA YoungBoy wasn't gonna come in and have no respect. He was gonna come in and try to be disrespectful as possible. And they knew that he was gonna come in and be disrespectful. So it's a good thing they didn't let him come in. Let him take his goofy, junky butt somewhere else. Because he ain't going to be here long anyway. Because he killing himself. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how people like him all out of it on the stage. You don't even know what the hell he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Him and Kodak Black, they need to go to rehab, get themselves fixed. But I'm really glad they didn't let them people come to this city and disrespect this city like that. Troll and Vaughn not even alive no more. It don't make no sense, man. You know what I'm saying? And he trash. That music is depressing. You know what I'm saying? Our children shouldn't be listening to no real dude out of it on all kind of substance, rapping that depressing nonsense. You don't even know what he's saying. Just up there sound crazy. I don't know what that's even all about. You know what I'm saying? You know, R.I.P. Vaughn, though. You know what I'm saying? Much respect to Seti Nash, but Seti, stay on Crip and Blood conversation. Don't be talking about GDs and BDs and Vice Lords and Blackstones and Four Corner Hustlers. You don't know nothing about that. Stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Don't speak on Chicago. You don't know nothing about Chicago politics. So I ain't really like you saying, it's one gang don't run the city. No. When it's time to make that call, OGs run this city when it's time to make that call. And I don't know where you from. But when we ready to we don't make calls. We let them do their thing. But on something like that, when we make that call and we put the foot down, the foot gonna be put down. I don't know about LA. Y'all ain't got structure like Chicago. We got structure. We got the most structure in the country. There's structure here. And we let the shorties do their thing, but when we put the law down, they got to go down by the law. And when big folks tell them to sit down and to stand down, they're going to stand down. Yeah, that's just a fact. So I ain't like him talk about something he don't know what he talking about. You was not going to be allowed to go against the grain with those of us that's standing with Vaughn. And you would not be allowed to be in this city and ride with no ops from no another state in Chicago and be all right once they leave. If they would have came here and any group would have rolled with them, when they left, it would have been up and all groups would have been at that one group. That is a fact. You would have been traitors and rats. You would have been rats, and we never would have respected you in Chicago. And even your OGs and them would have all been pissed at you and say you disgraced the city. Because no matter what you are, you're supposed to represent this city. And all you young brothers in this city, you listen to what the hell I'm telling you. You don't never disrespect Chicago. I don't give a damn what you is. Now, I don't know what nobody told you, but don't disrespect the city. Don't you go against the city. Because if you go against the city, you going against your clique because your clique come from the city. Larry from Chicago. David from Chicago. Jeff from Chicago. Walter, and on. They from Chicago. They represent Chicago. Don't get it twisted. O-Block is in Chicago. Duck is from Chicago. Mama Duck is from Chicago. Then you that other stuff. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know this Chicago. It's Cubs, Sox, Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks. You already know. Don't get it twisted, all right? Don't y'all ever go against the city in your life. I don't care what kind of beef is going on. All that stopped for the city, and we come together for the city. That's a fact. Go against the city and see if you don't be blackballed and disrespected. We ain't gonna necessarily wish no violence on you. We just ain't gonna like you. You don't go against your city. Other people ain't gonna go against their city. One thing I can say, New Orleans ain't gonna go against their city. New Orleans gonna ride with them New Orleans artists. I'm the whole New Orleans. You gotta respect that. And we not beefing with New Orleans. We just don't like NBA YoungBoy and them little dudes there. Because they disrespectful and they was trying to come to this city to try to stunt to show how tough they was. But they don't understand is this Chicago. And our police is blacks from Chicago, and they said, get your goofy ass out of here, don't come here. Because you understand, this city, we united here. Our mayor, our police and stuff, they wasn't going to never let y'all come here and disrespect this city. I don't know what y'all thought. They wasn't going to let you come here and disrespect this city. Is you crazy? They already knew it was going to be problems if you came here. And they made a good move. We already got enough problems. We don't need no jackasses coming up here causing no more problems, which is exactly what that little drug addict little boy would have did. He need to go sit down, so he need to stop trolling the city. That's what he need to do. He really need to think about what he doing. Like, we're not playing with you, little boy. NBA, you NBA little boy. Your name, NBA young boy. You a boy. Stay in a little boy place, bro. Stop playing with the city like that before you step on the wrong toes. I'm just saying, go sit your ass down. Let Vaughn rest in peace. And let that shit go. I'm going to just tell you. Let that shit go, bro, before that shit go bad. Before some people get involved with this, that ain't no little shorties like that. Y'all just making the situation worse. You know, I don't even know who booked them to come here. They was bogus for booking them here. That's another thing, too. The promoter would have been in trouble. Like, don't bring them here. Take them somewhere else. Don't bring nobody in Chicago. Don't respect the city. Us in Chicago, we believe in respecting cities. If we go to Miami, we're going to respect Miami. If we go to L.A., we're going to respect L.A. Whatever city we go to, we're going to respect that city. And if we beefing with somebody and we doing a show in your city, we not going to bring that beef up in your city about your homeboy. That's all out of line. If we beefing with a rapper from L.A., and we come to LA to do a show, we not going to promote that beef on the stage in front of LA against their homeboys. Anybody pushing that is really bad for the black community. You're supposed to come there and they homeboy you beefing with get a pass that night because you don't want to disrespect the city. And you respect the fact that if I come to LA, I'm beefing with a dude from LA. LA's supposed to ride with dude. So therefore, I'm going to let that go out of respect for LA. I'm not going to come and push the line against no LA resident when I'm performing for everybody in LA. It's getting to the point where, hey, you know what? Bring dude out on stage. NBA YoungBoy supposed to come here. He's supposed to meet privately with some BDs. They supposed to squash that. And he was supposed to bring some BDs out on stage if he really a G. And show black people that's over with. He should have came with a big thing, rest in peace, Vaughn, and said, you know what? We hate all of this even happened. That's how he should have came to Chicago. Not come and keep the beef going. He should have showed he was really a superstar. He should have came and squashed it and said, man, it was all just a big understanding. He came and he shot and none of that should have happened. You know, we want to squash that like a real G. No, don't come on with no nah on the stage over here. Because you mad at Dirk. Dirk would ride with his man. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you can't do that, get out of here. You know, it ain't funny when you come in here playing. What if we come where you at playing? See what I'm saying? This what I'm saying. These brothers be stirring the pot, making things worse. Then people like me, I got to go tell the shorties to stand down because the shorties get mad, want to roll. I'm like, no. You see what I'm saying? What I'm supposed to do? I got good friends in New Orleans. So now put me in a bad situation where the shorties want to go to New Orleans and do something. I'm like, no. All because this fool come in trolling. And we got families in New Orleans. We got people we like in New Orleans. We ain't never had no beef with Master P and Baby and all the New Orleans artists. We ain't trying to do that. We black people. Y'all people in New Orleans, tell that boy to sit down and stop beefing with Chicago like that, trolling Vaughn. Like that. Let Vaughn rest in peace. New Orleans, get your mans. Tell him to sit down. Enough is enough. The man already lost his life. What else you want? Dirk locked up. How you gonna be the man at Dirk? Dirk was trying to ride with his man like he's supposed to. At what point I'm gonna get mad at somebody riding with their man? And nobody ain't got nobody a bigger man to squash it? Like squash that, man. Stop trolling Vaughn, man. And we don't care what he rep Baton Rouge. Man, you need to stop trolling Vaughn, man, for that go bad. I don't know what he rep. We don't care what he rap. Where's Baton Rouge at? Louisiana? All right, this Chicago. The whole Louisiana gonna be ops. What are you thinking? Like, bro, tripping. He tripping, man. You know what I'm saying? He ain't supposed to come here with that. He gonna bring the little boy up here and get on stage and troll Vaughn like that in Chicago. Come on, man. Come on, man. Y'all down there in Louisiana, man, tell them little boys to sit their ass down and stop playing. Tell them little boys to sit down, stop doing that, let that go. We got to sit up here and referee because they keep clowning. Bro, you want to go on tour, you just got released, you ain't do no prison time, man. Go do your music and sit down. You trying to come and troll the city like that, trying to punk the city. Said he don't know what he talking about. They was trying to come and punk the city, said he. You know, said he, come on, man. They was trying to punk the city. You know they was trying to punk the city. And I kind of feel like said he wanted them to punk the city. Because I kind of feel like a lot of dudes in LA, they constantly trying to compete with us. That's what I be feeling like. When it ain't no competition. LA ain't standing on like Chicago. Chicago's number one with all this. Period. LA done fell off, and the blacks in LA let Mexicans punk them. Y'all got the Mexicans there, call y'all N-word and all that. So LA, y'all know, y'all ain't standing on nothing like that. Y'all done weaked out. Y'all let everybody take y'all gangs and make bootleg versions of the gangs. So I ain't really like said he's speaking on that like that. I ain't really like that. I ain't like him speaking on Chicago politics like that. But you in LA, worry about LA politics. This Chicago, man. We ain't doing none of that, man. We don't want that dude here. Yeah, he from Sacramento, but I respect him. I just didn't like what he was saying, certain stuff, and he shouldn't be speaking on that. He shouldn't be speaking on our tribes here. That's just how I feel about it. You know, he's saying, you know, it ain't just one gang don't run. But what you talk about one gang, bruh? What is you talking about? This ain't no gang stuff. This Chicago stuff, bruh. What is you talking about? This people in Chicago ain't really feeling Chief Keef for making beats for that boy. So you don't know what's going on here? Like Chief Keef is in the doghouse a little bit. Why you keep making beef with dude? Yeah, you and Vaughn went through something. That's still your homeboy. So y'all, said he don't know what's going on here like that. There's a higher level here that ain't saying nothing because they don't want to catch no Rico. So the shorty's just out there. But the OGs that run everything, they stand out the way. Nobody want no Rico. But them shorties don't run shit. This is what Say don't understand. Them shorties don't run shit. When the top make a call, it's going to go like that. That's a fact. This ain't L.A. This not that. When calls get made, it go through. And what nobody gonna let you go and go against Chicago and go with somebody else in this city. And that show was a bad idea. We trying to bring the violence down. We don't need no dudes that come from Louisiana trolling us up here. They would have came here trolling. Hey man, even me, I'd be up here. I would have been pissed. Once they would have left here, it would have changed my whole vibe. My whole vibe would have been dark. I wouldn't have liked that. And it's like, oh, okay, you trying to punk the city? All right, what you think we gonna do? Like some of these dudes pretend they really know outside and they know black people. Y'all really think that they come to Chicago and troll Vaughn, and y'all really think that would have just been the end of that? Y'all think that would have just went like that? All that would have did was upset people. That's why the Chicago police and everybody say, no, they can't come here like that. They're going to upset the whole city. They're going to upset the Arabs and everybody in the city going to be pissed. They don't know nothing about this city. You don't feel like you disrespect the city. They ain't have enough police to patrol that concert. It would have been a mess. It would have been a mess. Go to L.A. out there with SETI and them and disrespect L.A. You know what I'm saying? And knock down some of their people and go perform there. But don't be knocking down none of ours and think you can come here and do no show and walk around and nothing sweet unless you apologize and squash it. But if you're trying to troll and stuff like that, we wish nothing but the worst for NBA YoungBoy. I speak for a lot of people in Chicago. We wish the worst for him. We hope he flop and don't sell another record. We don't like him. He's not our friend. Period. The only way he could make it be a friend, he have to want to be one. But the way he moving right now, nah. He playing with fire. He playing with fire. That's what he doing. He playing. I don't like that little boy. So I'm glad he didn't come here. And for all y'all in Chicago watching me and stuff like that, stop the violence. Don't let little weirdos like that send y'all off. Have y'all out here doing crazy stuff. Make your life productive. Make your life productive. Because people like that, they ain't going to do nothing but pass away. He ain't going to be here long with all that dark satanic energy he got. How long you think he going to be here with his weird self? He's a weirdo. All that money and just weird and don't know how to act. He make New Orleans, he make Louisiana look bad. They already be saying they down there doing voodoo and stuff. And you got this voodoo dude all on stage, all weird, all dark and gloomy and what? Get him out of here. Yeah, get him out of here. He a bad example. Him and Kodak Black is a disgrace. Somebody send them to the rehab and clean them up. Got them out there exploiting them like that. Making our kids, it's crazy. I can go on and on. I don't like that little boy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't outside like that, but used to be a time I would have been backstage. We would have seen. Me and the guys would have been backstage. Boy, his little security would have had to stand down. They would have checked that little boy. Boy, you can't, boy, your security ain't like that. I tell you that. I don't know what nobody think, boy. You can't come here and be backstage or be here like that, playing like that in no city like this. Boy, this is not no city to play. We don't play like that. Like, go play with somebody else. Go play with somebody else. Because that was some punk stuff y'all shot him anyway. That was some punk stuff. Some people say the police shot him. That's what some people say, but I don't know. I know the whole thing was some punk stuff, even the way it all went down. But, sometimes people lose their life. But what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to make it right. You ain't supposed to, fan it more. Look how many lives are going to get lost over that. You know what I'm saying? Every time we get good talent as black people, we lose talent to senseless violence. That wasn't going to be nothing but a fight. Everybody should have put the guns down, let them two fight, break it up, and they would have lived another day. Nobody had to shoot. Punk asses. You know what I'm saying? That's how y'all live. Like, what? The man didn't have no gun. He was just fighting. They was friends. They was friends. What y'all shoot him for? Every time we get a Tupac, shot. Biggie, shot. Vaughn, shot. Black people black men keep on destroying the great ones. Nipsey, shot. Just look at it. These some of the greatest artists. Look what happened. Just look. And it's bad enough. Now you want to go on a tour. You want to come in and troll and take a bad situation and make it worse. Y'all get y'all boy down there in Louisiana. Get some boys and tell them to sit down somewhere. Get y'all people and tell them to sit down and carry themselves like they got some respect. Is they black or what is they? Tell them to let that go. Vaughn not here no more. Let it go. Stop trolling Vaughn and Dirt. And go on about your life and make some music and get off them drugs and clean yourself up. And stop trolling the city like that for that go bad. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's wrong with dude. But I know he could be a better role model than that. Now I like what Young Thug and Lucci trying to do. They trying to show everybody, listen, man, this beefing stuff, this stuff whack. This beefing is whack. It's time to hear that. It's time to hear that NBA YoungBoy Dirk song. We ain't the beefing, that's corny. I'ma just keep it real. It's corny.